All right, so this is our unit on environmental chemistry, and this is our first topic, and it is called a hair-raising dilemma. All right, so we're going to start by talking about nutrients. And so what is a nutrient? So it's a chemical found in food. It's used for energy, growth, bodybuilding, and cell repair. So in our blood, these nutrients, they circulate through the body to all of the cells in our body. All right, so the nutrients can be divided into two major groups, the organic and the inorganic. And let's talk about the organic nutrients. So organic nutrients, these ones, they contain carbon. That's how you know they're organic, and they are essential for health. And they consist of carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and vitamins. So this is a table from the textbook showing dietary sources of nutrients. So for example, carbohydrates, their role in nutrition is they are the primary source of energy, so energy source for metabolism, and typical dietary sources, things like rice, grains, potatoes, fruits, vegetables, and so on. Next is proteins. The role in nutrition, it's a structural molecule, and so it's there in our cells for structure and so on, for the body, and it also helps in chemical reactions. All right, so typical dietary sources: meat, eggs, dairy products, legumes, and nuts. Lipids, these are the fats. Role in nutrition: storage of unused chemical energy, so also used for energy. And then typical dietary sources like vegetable oils, nut oils, some dairy products also contain lipids. All right, next are inorganic nutrients. So inorganic nutrients, things like minerals. So minerals are usually distinguished by the amount needed by our body. So macro minerals, macro meaning larger amounts, so about 100 milligrams per day or more. And a trace element you'll need in very small amounts, so less than 100 milligrams per day. All right, so minerals, they are essential components in our enzymes as well as in vitamins. So enzymes, like we talked about in the previous unit, these are special protein molecules that regulate chemical reactions in our bodies. All right, and an example, for example, there's an enzyme in our saliva called the amylase enzyme, which starts breaking down starches. And then vitamins, these are large organic molecules that help the enzymes function. All right, they are organic. All right, so here in this chart, we're just looking at some nutrients, vitamins, types and functions of vitamins. So this chart you can refer to. There is a similar chart in the textbook as well. It's table 3.2 on page 180. So I think there are a couple of questions where you do have to refer to this chart. So for example, vitamin C is an example right here at the bottom. It helps form the connective tissue that holds our skin, muscles, blood vessels, and other body structures together. So it's a very important vitamin. Humans cannot make vitamin C within our bodies, so we have to get it from our food. A disease you've probably heard about before, scurvy. It's a disease that is resulting from a lack of vitamin C, and some symptoms are like bleeding gums, loss of teeth, bruising. It also decreases resistance to other deadly diseases. So you probably heard of this before in social studies as well. Okay, so next we are looking at elements, how elements are used in the body. So this table is the one I was talking about. This one is the one in the textbook on page 180, the role of elements in the body. So here are a list of some elements and then the roles in the human body. So I'm not going to go through the whole chart, but there will be some questions, so just refer to this chart when you need to. The four most common elements in the body by percent of wet mass are oxygen, which is 65%, carbon 18%, hydrogen is 10%, and then nitrogen 3%. How elements are used in the human body, just continuing here, we're just looking at iodine. So we'll just at an example here of iodine and how important iodine is. Is iodine here? Right here. So iodine, the role in the human body, it's a major component of thyroid hormones which regulate metabolism. So the thyroid is located in the neck area. So what we can see here is a deficiency of iodine, which can cause a goiter. So this here is a goiter. That's a swelling of the thyroid gland at the base of the neck, and it's usually caused by a deficiency of iodine. So it is a common problem in many parts of the world, particularly where sea products are not frequently eaten. All right, next, the root source. So all living things, they need a constant supply of raw materials and energy to produce new cells for growth, to repair, and to remain healthy. So most of the elements we need are in the soil. But even if we could eat soil, the elements are found in very, very low concentrations, right? So we can't eat soil because we still wouldn't be getting enough of the nutrients that we need. So that's where plants come into play, because plants, they extract the minerals for us from the soil. All right, so the plant root systems, they are adapted for extracting minerals. So roots, they're covered with these root hairs that increase the surface area for increased absorption. Minerals that are dissolved in water are taken up and concentrated in the root hairs. The minerals that are absorbed by the roots, they're going to then move to other parts of the plant, and there they will build organic compounds such as vitamins, proteins, and lipids. So then when we eat the plants, we are able to access those organic compounds, and without plants, we wouldn't be able to obtain the nutrients that we need. All right, so next we're taking a look at this chart, and what we're seeing here is the element, and we have its symbol. It's approximate percent by mass of Earth's crust, and then approximate percent by mass of a generic plant, and then approximate percent by mass of a human. So for example, let's say we're looking at carbon. So carbon, which has a symbol C, this is how much of it is found in the Earth's crust, and this is how much is found in a plant. So that's a plant extracting it from the earth or the soil, and then this is how much there is in the human body. All right, so notice how much the plants are able to extract from what there is in the soil, and therefore provide it for us for human needs. The one note here is that the only source of nitrogen for humans is from eating plants. So we can't get it from any other source. We have to get it from eating plants. All right, so again, if you notice here, percent in Earth's crust, 0.03, and then in the plant, and then in the human body. All right, so next we are looking at commercial fertilizers, which you can just find at stores to help the plants grow. So for example, leaves, roots, and flowers, they benefit respectively from high nitrogen. So leaves benefit from high nitrogen, roots benefit from high phosphorus, and flowers benefit from high potassium. And the numbers are always in the same order. So you'll always see it in that order: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So the percentage of mass of the fertilizer mix that provides nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So N for nitrogen, P for phosphorus, and K was for potassium. The phosphorus that you see in fertilizers is usually provided as phosphate compounds, and then the mineral potash is the source of the potassium. Right, so here we can see kind of here the numbers: 2177, so that means 21% nitrogen, 7% potassium, 7%. Sorry, 7% phosphorus and 7% potassium. So commercial fertilizers, they provide nitrogen in the form of 3 nitrogen compounds. There's nitrates, there's ammonia, and there's urea. So plants, they cannot absorb nitrogen directly from the atmosphere, right? It's the most abundant gas in the atmosphere is nitrogen, but plants can't absorb it directly from the atmosphere. So they have to absorb nitrates that are dissolved in water. So nitrates, they're formed in soil in a two-step process. There is soil bacteria. They fix atmospheric nitrogen by forming ammonia. The ammonia then gets changed to nitrates by other species like bacteria. All right, so some issues emerging from high productivity. So until the 1900s, plants were receiving the nitrates from nature, but then artificial fertilizers came along, and artificial fertilizers, they changed that by increasing the nitrogen levels available for plants. So therefore, we saw increased plant growth and increased food production. It takes a lot of fertilizer and water to produce crops of high yield varieties. It's very expensive for farmers. And planting only one crop, that's called a monoculture, it increases the chance of a disease spreading through the entire crop. A variety of crops, it usually means at least one crop might survive a disease. So chemical agents that are used like pesticides, they reduce the amount of crops lost to damage or disease. Again, it is expensive for farmers and it does have an environmental impact, and we'll talk more about that later. All right, so we're going to stop here. A couple videos here to watch.